On a warm June afternoon, the city of Chicago pulsed with its usual energy. The sun cast a golden hue across the sidewalks, and laughter echoed from the schoolyards as children poured out of classrooms, eager to embrace the freedom of summer afternoons. Among the throng was Liam, a 9-year-old boy whose quiet demeanor often set him apart. His blue backpack, faded and decorated with patches of beloved cartoon heroes, was a constant companion, slung over his small shoulders as he navigated the world with gentle curiosity. That day, for Liam, began like any other. He listened to his teachers, exchanged shy smiles with classmates, and clutched his backpack tightly as the final bell rang. But as the crowd of children thinned and parents reunited with their children, one figure remained absent from the familiar scene. Sarah, Liam's mother, stood at the usual pickup spot, her gaze scanning every face. Minutes slipped by, each one sharpening her eye into something tangible. When an hour had passed and Liam was still nowhere to be seen, dread seeped into her heart. Teachers insisted that Liam had left on time. His friends remembered seeing him walk toward the gates, his backpack hugged protectively to his chest. Yet, as the sun began its slow descent, the absence of her son became a void that threatened to swallow Sarah whole. Calls to neighbors and friends yielded nothing. Panic rising, she dialed the police, her voice trembling as she described her son and the last moments anyone had seen him. The search began in earnest. Flyers bearing Liam's smiling face appeared on every lamppost and shop window. Strangers joined the search, combing parks and alleyways, calling his name into the growing twilight. But there were no signs of struggle, no witnesses who could say where he had gone. The city, so alive with possibility, felt suddenly vast and indifferent. Then, a single clue surfaced. A crumpled note found in Liam's desk at school, written in a child's hurried scrawl, "I have to go. Please don't look for me." The words were a dagger to Sarah's heart. She replayed every conversation, every bedtime story, every quiet moment, searching for signs of unhappiness she might have missed. Daniel, Liam's father, was tormented by guilt. Remembering the arguments he and Sarah had tried to keep behind closed doors, had Liam overheard something? Had he felt unwanted or unsafe in his own home? Days blurred into weeks. The police investigation slowed as leads dried up, but Sarah refused to surrender to despair. She haunted libraries, questioned Liam's classmates, retraced every possible route he might have taken. She pored over his belongings, searching for meaning in the ordinary. In a drawer, she found doodles of distant places, mountains, lakes, forests. Tucked between the pages of a comic book was a worn brochure for Lake Geneva, a small Wisconsin town they had visited as a family years before. The map was marked with childish stars and circles. Hope flickered. Perhaps, Sarah thought, Liam had gone there, drawn by the memory of happier times. She convinced Daniel to join her in the search. Each weekend, they drove to Lake Geneva, their hearts heavy with uncertainty. They posted flyers, questioned locals, and wandered the lakeshore, calling their son's name into the wind. Most people offered only sympathy, but one evening, as the sun dipped behind the tranquil waters, an elderly man named Frank approached them outside a grocery store. He remembered seeing a boy who matched Liam's description, wandering near the docks weeks earlier. The boy's lost expression had stayed with him. Following Frank's recollection, Sarah and Daniel scoured the docks, searching for any sign that Liam had been there. Amidst a pile of crates behind an abandoned boathouse, they found it, a small blue backpack, weathered by the elements but unmistakably Liam's. Inside were snacks, a child's sweater, and a photograph of the three of them, taken on a happier day. The discovery was both a relief and a torment. Liam had been there, alone. But where was he now? A local motel manager recalled renting a room to a young woman and a boy resembling Liam. The woman, who paid in cash, had stayed only a few days before vanishing again. When Sarah pleaded for the security footage, the manager obliged. The grainy images showed Liam holding the woman's hand, his face a mix of fear and trust. The woman's identity remained a mystery, but the footage breathed new life into the investigation. Tips poured in from nearby towns. Some claimed to have seen the boy at gas stations or roadside diners. Each lead pulled Sarah and Daniel deeper into a labyrinth of uncertainty. Every night, Sarah sat with the Lake Geneva brochure, tracing the lines of the map with her finger. One evening, she noticed something she had missed before. Scribbled in the margin were the words "safe place," and a clumsily drawn star marked a spot in the northern woods. Clinging to this fragile clue, Sarah and Daniel set out at dawn, driving along winding back roads into the dense forests north of the lake. The woods were vast, shadowed by towering trees and dotted with abandoned cabins. For hours they searched, calling Liam's name into the hush. Hope waned with each unanswered call. As twilight painted the sky in shades of lavender and gold, Sarah caught a flicker of movement near an old ranger's station, long since closed. Her heart pounded as she approached. There, crouched behind a rusted barrel, was a small, thin figure, clutching something to his chest. It was Liam. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Sarah knelt, arms outstretched, her voice caught in her throat. Liam's eyes, wide and haunted, glistened with unshed tears. He hesitated, then ran to her, burying his face in her shoulder. Daniel joined them, and the family clung together in the fading light, as if trying to mend the fractures that had splintered their world. At the hospital, after a warm meal and a night's rest, Liam began to speak. His words were slow, halting, burdened by fear and confusion. He told them how a woman had approached him outside school, claiming to know his parents. She spoke of things only someone close to the family would know, weaving a story that seemed plausible to a frightened child. Unsure but pressured, Liam followed her. The woman was kind at first, feeding him and telling stories. She promised they were going somewhere better, somewhere safe. But as the days passed, Liam realized she was hiding him, moving from motel to motel, avoiding questions, growing more anxious. Fear grew inside him. One night, when she left him alone, Liam seized the chance to escape. Guided by memories of Lake Geneva, he wandered for days, driven by the hope of finding safety in a place that once felt like home. Sarah listened, her heart breaking with every word. The pain of nearly losing him mingled with relief and gratitude. The police worked tirelessly to identify the woman. Weeks later, they discovered she was a distant cousin of Daniel's, estranged from the family and struggling with mental health issues. She had harbored a quiet resentment for years, a bitterness no one had fully understood. She was arrested, and Liam was declared safe. But life did not simply return to normal. Liam was haunted by nightmares and a lingering fear of abandonment. Sarah and Daniel, now acutely aware of the cracks that had gone unnoticed, devoted themselves to his healing. They attended counseling as a family, learning to listen, to be present, to rebuild trust. They discovered that sometimes love meant sitting together in silence, waiting for the fear to subside. Months later, the family returned to Lake Geneva, not to search, but to celebrate. They walked the docks, explored the woods, and watched the sun set over the water. Liam, now wearing a new backpack adorned with fresh patches, ran ahead, glancing back to make sure his parents were close behind. Sarah watched him, her heart full of sorrow for what had been lost and gratitude for what remained. The past had left its scars, but it had also strengthened the bonds between them. From that day forward, every choice they made was guided by a single, unspoken promise. Liam would never again feel alone in his search for safety. The journey had changed them, weaving their lives together with threads of resilience, forgiveness, and unwavering love. And so, life moved forward, not as it was before, but stronger, stitched together by the quiet understanding that even in the darkest moments, hope can be found and love can lead the way home.